So I want to tell you what I've discovered about the way that the virtual test of the AP Calculus exam is how that's going to be offered. Um, you might know that there was a lot of problems last year and a lot of students were pretty unhappy about it. First of all, the test was only 45 minutes long. It only had two short answer questions, multiple parts. And the test was only 45 minutes long. So it really didn't cover the entire survey of calculus. And the other part of it was that students had to kind of do handwriting and then take pictures and upload it. And there were all kinds of problems that students had with that. A lot of dissatisfaction around that. So almost none of that is going to be in place this year. All right, so here's what I know about the test. The first thing is that it's going to be full length. It's going to have the four sections, uh, both short answer and multiple choice sections. It is intended to be broken into sections where you should use a calculator and where a calculator will not be necessary. They understand that you're going to have a calculator at your side the entire time, but they're designing the questions, they say, in such a way that having a calculator will be neither a benefit nor a hindrance to you. So presumably when you've got those questions, you're just going to keep your calculator off because it's not going to help you. And if you start turning it on, it's just going to be costing you time. That's their philosophy anyway. Um, Also, the test is going to be open notes. They're not going to be able to keep you from having a reference sheet sitting right next to you. But they say the same thing, that having the product rule written down in front of you is not going to help or hurt you as you take the test. You might feel differently about that. You might say, gosh, I'd really like to have a reference sheet in front of me. If that's the case, then maybe the virtual test is something that you want to lean towards. Here are a couple other things which maybe are a little bit more sour. The test is going to be, as I say, you're not going to be doing anything handwritten and scanning and uploading like that. The test is going to be completely computer driven. Um, so one of the things they say that means is that you're going to go through the multiple choice questions sequentially. All right. And when you hit question number 13, you've got to answer it before you go on to 14, and there's no going back to 13. As a test taker, that would drive me straight up the wall. Again, know yourself. Um, the other thing is that the short answer part is not going to require you to do any handwriting. Everything you do is going to be entered through the keyboard into the computer. Anytime you need to use fancy symbols, they're going to provide a button that's going to give you those symbols. Um, it's not going to require a lot of writing, they say. You're going to be thinking about what you're saying, but it's not going to take a lot of time for you to present those ideas through the keyboard to the test takers. And there are not going to be any graphs that you're going to need to draw as a result of that thing. As a result of that interface. At the same time, they are very firm on saying that it's going to cover the entire breadth of calculus, just like we're used to seeing. So it's not going to have that abbreviated version. It should well, actually, they say that it's probably not going to feel like a traditional test. So one of the upsides of taking a paper test is that all of the practice problems we've had, if you get a practice book, all of the problems you see there, that's going to be the model for the paper test. The online test, the virtual test, might feel very different in some significant ways. They're going to give us an opportunity to play with the interface for a solid month before the tests. So that's something that if you do decide to take the virtual test, you should take advantage of getting that practice in so that you're comfortable with the interface when you sit down and take the test. Um, but at any rate, I think it's a serious and legitimate decision about which way you decide to go with it. Another thing that might influence your decision is that the virtual tests are 3 weeks after the paper test, and the second one is a full month after the paper test. It is my feeling as a teacher, um, I think that we are going to be, I do not feel nervous that by May 4th, we're not going to be prepared to take the paper test. We're going to be through the material and we're going to have plenty of time for review. So I do not believe that that should be a determining factor for you. At the same time, if you're leaning back in your chair saying, gosh, I'd really like a couple extra weeks to drill on this, or maybe you're saying, you know what, I've got two other AP exams, I'd like to focus on them and then do this one at a different time, or maybe you do it the other way. Take all of this information and make the decision that's right for you. But do please make that decision soon because Mr. E needs that information. And I'm going to have a poll in the signed thing right down at the bottom of this. I'm not seriously going to grade it, but I do need that information so that I can get it to Mr. E and so he knows what to tell College Board about how we're going to administer it in our school. If you've got any questions, drop me an email. I'll set up a discussion post down there too, so that if you have questions, I can answer them for everybody.